I see Ray O'Connor is with us today, and Tracy Skalberg, Cindy Johnson, Judy Smith, Pam Lancaster, Chris Nolan Brown. Now my eyes are a little glazed over. Ken Gannott. Eyes are a little glazed over, so if I've missed anyone, would you please hold your hand up or stand up? If not, congratulations to you.
I want to take a moment to talk about Denzel Rasmussen. Denzel was our 2006 honoree, and as you all know, he's in a valiant battle against ALS. As I understand it, he's been moved to skilled care at St. Francis, and maybe will go home this Thursday. He wanted to be here physically, but wanted you all to know that he's here in spirit. So please keep Denzel in your thoughts and prayers. Most of you are familiar with the story about how this whole process got started. You know, following the tornadoes in 1980, the leadership of the Independent thought it would be a good idea to recognize the key people in the community who kind of brought things together and led the recovery of Grand Island. Those first two men and women of the year were Mayor Bob Kriz and Irene Abernathy. And today, we honor Craig and Lynn. They'll be added to a list of remarkable people over the last 37 years that we've honored. So we think it's a big deal anyway. The qualifications are really pretty simple. We seek individuals who have exhibited outstanding leadership, generosity, and civic involvement. The board looks for individuals whose life work has positively impacted the community, and that's just beyond just the scope of their professional callings in life. Each year, it seems, there are serendipitous common threads that connect the lives and work of our honorees. And this year, Craig and Lynn have some things in common. We all know that they are both busy, successful business people who have somehow found the time to regenerate two of the community's most important assets, the Grand Theater and the Central Nebraska Regional Airport. Of course, the Grand Theater is the centerpiece for the downtown redevelopment that is going on right now, and the new terminal, for which there were a lot of people involved, and in many ways the whole community, is a catalyst for more great things to come at CNRA under the leadership of the board and the facility, Mike Olson, the director. Craig and Lynn, of course, will tell you that they had small roles in those team efforts that involved many hardworking people. Nonetheless, their time commitment, vision, and leadership were key to those two projects, not only in seeing them come to fruition, but really vastly exceeding the community's expectations in both cases. Craig and Lynn have, of course, been involved in a variety of other civic activities, but another thing they share in common is support by strongly bonded families. Both have been able to maintain focus on their many responsibilities, and at a time when their top priorities variously were involved in attending to their parents who had health issues. So you can imagine what it would be like to keep that as a top priority with everything else that they have been involved in. Lastly, I'll share an interesting theory that basically says, one's view of the world and their place in it becomes more expansive through air flight or sea travel. Today we honor an aviator and a sailor whose reckoning is affixed by the horizon. Their bright visionary horizons have most assuredly lifted an entire community, our community. That is what we are truly celebrating today. Lynn and Craig, we are deeply grateful to you and for all you do for our community and for allowing us to share your stories. And with that, I'm going to turn things over to my editor, Jim Gaddis. Thank you.
At this time, we'd like to honor our 2016 Woman of the Year, Lynn Warner, and to introduce Lynn as her son, Adam Warner. Please welcome Adam.
is my great honor and pleasure to introduce to you today my mother, the Grand Island Independent Woman of the Year, Lynn Werner. As I prepared my introduction speech for this award, I took some time to reflect on my mom's accomplishments and her involvement. As I thought about all the things my mom's been involved with and accomplished, there was one achievement that came to mind. How badly she beat my dad that time on that blind date when they first met. But that's a story for another time. Although my mom was born in Grand Island, her family moved to Ogallala shortly after she was born. She is number 5 of 6 children from my late grandparents, Ralph and Jean Lawson. After graduating high school from Ogallala, she attended the University of Nebraska at Lincoln, where she earned her Bachelor's of Science in Nursing. She practiced as a nurse for 1 year and then decided to return to school. She earned her law degree from the Creighton University School of Law. After marrying my father, she went on to gain her license as a private pilot. Since returning to Grand Island, my mother has been heavily involved, devoting a lot of time to the local community. In addition to serving as chairwoman of the Airport Authority, she is also on the local boards of Central Community Foundation, Central Community College Foundation, the Stewart Foundation, and the Grand Island Community Foundation. Previously, she served on the Grand Island Public Schools Foundation for 2 terms. She was a trustee of the St. Francis Foundation and was a member of the Grand Island Public School Board while also serving on the board for Crane Meadows. And how could I forget, she also cares for about 7 or 8 ducks, which she feeds Wonder Bread out our back door. One might truly wonder how she does it all. In the Grand Island Independent article about my mother, she described herself as enthusiastic with a big vision and a tendency to look at the big picture. But today I would like to build on that description and to share with you the reasons she is deserving of the award and why I admire her. My mom is loving, approachable, and easy to talk to. She radiates positive energy, and this energy spreads to all the people that she comes in contact with. Just recently, as I was struggling through my first semester of law school, I would frequently call her up and voice to her my worries and concerns. She always knew just what to say to calm me down and how to make me feel better about the way things were going. As soon as we would hang up, I would have a different outlook on the way things were going, and I knew things would be all right. Secondly, my mom has a work ethic and drive that are without equal. She places a great deal of importance on finishing the task in hand, and my sister Jane and I got a first-hand experience of this as we were growing up. Daily, we would wake up to our daily list of chores. You know, there'd be multiple things, like do the dishes, mow the lawn, things of that nature. But you could always count on 2 words at the very bottom, and those were proceed forward. So we would laugh at this cliche and saying of her and, just kind of mock her a little bit. But it is something that she truly demonstrates every day. It is no wonder that success has followed her to all the organizations that she has been a part of. Lastly, my mother is a strong woman. The latter half of 2016 was particularly hard for our family, and especially my mother. She lost both of her parents, my grandparents, 2 months apart from one another in August and October of 2016. I know they are smiling down from heaven and are very proud of your latest accomplishment, Mom. Through this time of trial and tribulation, my mother never faltered, even though I know she was under a great amount of stress. She continued her hard work for the community. For these reasons, I don't think the Independent could have made a better choice for the 2016 Woman of the Year. She was first on my ballot. That is, if I would have had a vote. Please help me in welcoming my mother to the stage.
Photo and article about her. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you, Adam. You made this look so easy. I think this is the most difficult part of the afternoon, standing up and talking in front of everyone. So I'm thankful for this honor. And I'm thankful to the Independent for your coverage and support always of the Central Nebraska Regional Airport. I'd also like to congratulate Craig Hand today. It's a privilege to be here with you. And my children, as well as my nephew, have all volunteered at the Grand Theater, and they've done their share of watching movies and eating popcorn. And so we celebrate your success today. I'm so humbled today. But I really know that this award is simply a reflection on the great community of Grand Island and the board members with whom I serve. and the director, Mike Olson, and most deservedly, the staff members at the Central Nebraska Regional Airport. A lot of them are out at the airport right now. Of course, this couldn't be a worse weather day for airplanes to be taking off and landing. And so I would love to recognize them. And I'm not sure a lot of them are here, but I know Mike Olson is here, and thank you, Mike. Also, sometimes our legal counsel, Ron Dupay, I think he might be gone today also, but Ron Dupay keeps the airport out of trouble and keeps me out of jail. So always like Ron's advice. These people, really, the staff members are really the reason why the airport has been designated as the Nebraska Airport of the Year. They've been designated that 6 times in the last 10 years by the Nebraska Department of Aeronautics, and this is really like the national championship for us. It's like the rivalry. It's like the Husker footballs in the 1990s. So we're so happy with every time we win that award. Time to flip the page. I get to work with a lot of ambitious people, and the airports are heavily regulated, and airports have so much going on in any one given day. Airports own the farm ground around the airport, so we do farm leasing, we do airport leasing, we do airplane contracts, we do airplane routes, we do building projects, and we do parking lot projects. So, and then we get to do really fun things like budgets. So that's a super fun part of the job. I've had the pleasure of serving on this board since 2005, and I applied for a vacancy that was created when Doyle Holm moved to Lincoln, and Pam Lancaster encouraged me to apply, and I beat out my husband for the job. So Mike Olson and I started about the same time, nearly 11 years ago. So reflecting back to that time, the passenger boardings topped out at 7,600 people with one destination. That destination was to Denver. The federal government awards $1 million every year to communities that hit 10,000 boardings. We were not hitting 10,000 boardings. We were way short of 10,000 boardings, and weren't able to get the $1 million in subsidy dollars, which means a lot to our airport. Meanwhile, Kearney, our neighbor to the west, was hitting 10,000 boardings. So we had a lot of work to do. We had a lot of challenges. We had times where we had we had 0 boardings, and we had no service for 3 or 4 months at a time. So we were looking at very, very bleak numbers. This became the challenge, and decisions had to be made over the years on different destinations, different routes, different airlines. This week, the final numbers for 2016 were just barely short of 70,000 passenger numbers.
How many?
So this is up. Yeah. So this is up almost 7% this year, and it's been a very solid increase since 2008. How did this happen? It happened with a good director, Mike Olson, a good staff, and people out of central Nebraska using our airport and flying out of here. I believe that this is further confirmation that the heart of this community and one of our most important main streets in town is our runway. I'd like to think that a certain slogan from American Airlines guided us over the years, their slogan being, "There's something special in the air." Well, there's certainly been something special in the air right here in Grand Island, especially since American Airlines came to town and now flies to Dallas. As you know, Dallas-Fort Worth, being the hub of American Airlines, connects us to 200 destinations and 58 international destinations. Another slogan comes to mind, Allegiant Airlines, their slogan being, "Travel is our deal." Well, Travel Is Our Deal came to town in 2008 with great fares and a direct flight to Las Vegas. With that going so well, we went back to Allegiant Airlines and tried to ask them if they had any more routes that would be available. And lo and behold, a year later, they suggested Phoenix, a route to Phoenix. Well, we had some hesitation with Phoenix just because we didn't want to take numbers away from our Las Vegas flights. And we also wondered who in the world will want to go to Phoenix when it's 100 degrees here in Grand Island and even hotter in Phoenix in the summer. Well, come to think of it, our flights to Phoenix are now more full than the flights to Las Vegas. So it's good that we did not second guess. As Adam mentioned earlier, I'm a pilot and I've had a few landings at the airport, takeoffs and landings at the airport over the years. One time during my flight training with an instructor, I did 27 takeoffs and landings in one day. My instructor might have said she's a very slow learner, or my goodness, when is she ever going to get this right? But practice makes perfect, and together over the years with the staff and the board, and by the grace of God, we figured out how to pilot this plane. So I cannot tell you what pride I have in looking at the new terminal, and I'm proud of this community who has embraced the travel out of our town. Further credit to the FAA, who moved our project ahead of a lot of other projects in the Midwest and awarded us nearly $10 million towards our terminal project. We had wonderful architects. We took the architects on field trips around the area to learn about the Platte River. And they took that inspiration and that design to build the beautiful terminal. And now we are winning awards around the country for architectural design. We had local artists, a lot of them teamed up, Jorn Olson, Rick Rasmussen, Hal Majori, George Bartenbach. They teamed up to hang beautiful artwork in the terminal. We even have a Platte River terrazzo floor flowing through the terminal, reflecting the idea that Grand Island had a Platte River that was nearly 2 miles wide in the 1900s. This has been a Cloud 9 experience for me, pardon the aeronautical term. And I'm grateful to God for allowing me to have served and felt a purpose on the board. As a pilot, we like to know where we're going and where we're headed, and this has not all been clear skies and tailwinds. Do we have challenges ahead? Yes, every day is a challenge ahead. Keeping our routes and our planes full, maintaining a terminal that's 3 times as big as our other terminal, and yes, parking challenges. So always something in the pipeline. On a serious note, I'm thankful to my husband, the best pilot I know, and one who encouraged me to become a pilot. I don't really understand why he wants to always be addressed as captain, however. I'm thankful to my children for putting up with a busy mom. I'm glad that they have an interest in flying and are obtaining pilot's licenses too. I don't really understand also why I'm getting moved to the back of the plane, and no one takes any constructive criticism, even though it's coming through loud and clear on a microphone. Thank you to my family, friends, and my sisters who've come to support me. Once again, thank you, Don Smith, and the team at the Grand Island Independent for this incredible honor that shines the light on our community, and for our wonderful team of people at the airport. As a closing thought, I've got to give you a little plug here. I challenge you always to think about flying out of our local airport. We don't want to lose you down the road to I-80. We've appreciated your patronage and your support so far, and we need it to continue. All of the success of the airport should be attributed back to each of you. Thank you so much, Grand Island.
Thank you, Lynn. And now to introduce the Independence 2016 Man of the Year, Craig Hand. Please welcome Craig's daughter, Kristen Watson.
There is research that says that the human brain starts working the moment we are born and never stops. That is, until you're asked to speak in public. As you're about to find out, I'm not nearly as comfortable or articulate behind a microphone as my father is, so bear with me. Thank you to each of you for braving the weather to be part of this celebration today. Please know that it does not go unnoticed and is especially appreciated that each and every one of you are here today. I know I can speak for my father and for the entire Hand family when I say thank you. Maya Angelou once said, "I don't trust anyone that doesn't laugh." When you talk to my dad, you can anticipate that at some point, a joke will be part of the conversation. Sometimes as a one-line zinger that he throws in, and other times as a story he tells that leaves you shaking your head, not quite sure what is true and what is fiction. But always, just as he has planned, these little gems of his give you a momentary grin or a laugh that often distracts us from the seriousness and mundane of our day-to-day. This unconventional humor is a trademark that reminds us to not take ourselves or life too seriously. With all of this joking around going on, it's a wonder he ever gets anything done. But he does. It is through hard work, dedication, and a desire for the best for those around him that drives my father's accomplishments. I vividly remember as a child my dad saying to me, if it's worth doing well, or if it's worth doing, it's worth doing well. A small but mighty statement that was passed to my father from his parents, and then later to my brother Ryan and I, and now to our own children. A statement that has become a family motto of sorts, that is always in the back of our minds, helping to navigate decisions, big and small. It is this drive that has helped a family jewelry business that my grandparents founded over 69 years ago continue to thrive today. It is impossible to speak about my father without mentioning the importance of family. Together, my parents have taught us what it means to love, laugh, and support each other through the good and the not so good. And above all, to lift each other up so that we can strive to become the best part or the best version of ourselves. I think most would agree that although my dad is deserving of this honor, it is not without the love, encouragement, and teamwork from my mom that he is able to do what he does. Intertwined with this strong work ethic is a generous heart and a sense of pride and love for the Grand Island community and the good people that live in it. An endearment strong enough to bring him back to Grand Island after serving in the Navy for 6 years during the Vietnam War, when he had the opportunity to see and experience things all over the world. And yet, he chose to come back here, his home. My dad understands that no one man can accomplish alone what a group of people can do when they come together. It is because of this fondness for Grand Island that he has worked with so many others to preserve our beloved community and to make sure it is a place of pride for generations to come. He is generous in every sense of the word. When he sees a cause he believes in, he never hesitates to donate his time, money, resources to countless committees, boards, organizations, fundraisers, and downtown projects, wherever and whenever he is needed. Doing so because he truly believes in the greater good. And though he is dedicated, generous, and even sometimes funny, my father is also humble. As an observer that has been watching his accomplishments unfold, I see a man that never boasts or brags. He simply continues to keep working, to keep serving, and to keep giving to his family, friends, colleagues, and community, not for recognition, but because he genuinely wants what is best for all of us. It is with great honor that I introduce to you Grand Island's 2016 Man of the Year, my father, Craig Hand.
Craig, we have a plaque for you. Thank you, Craig.
Boy, I hope we can live up to that. Yes, and Lynn, thank you too for all you do. We do appreciate it. I want to thank everyone who came today, and I know it was a hassle with the weather and everything, but I want all of you to know that everyone that's here today is inspired or impressed me in some way or the other, and it means an awful lot to me that you're here. I do appreciate it. I just wanted to know, I got an email a couple of days ago from Hillary Clinton. She saw this Man of the Year thing in the internet, and she offered to introduce me. But I told her that my daughter was already doing it, and besides, I was a little short of the $5 million. So, sorry about not having her here. I was really surprised when I got the phone call about this honor, and I thought someone was yanking my chain a little bit, but it seems like a lot of this got started because of the Grand Theater, and there were a lot of other people involved with the Grand, but none of us did it for recognition. We just wanted to say something that was special and something that we grew up with. It was very dear to all of us, and we just couldn't let it go. So with respect to the Grand Theater, I want to thank some people. Jim Pohl, my vice president and chief techie guy since the beginning. Ray Evans, who is here today, one of my original board members and who was the only one familiar with the theater, had a lot of great ideas and a lot of great contributions. Liz Gerberding, our long-suffering scheduler and board member. Randy Spilbrink, our second vice president, who has contributed so much of his time and labor to improving our technical equipment and programming our movies. Lee Van Boning, our treasurer. Kim Mettenbrink, our volunteer coordinator. Mark Tracy, John Ozenbaugh, Brent Holdgren, and Doug Holmes, all board members. Also, John Lincoln, our event coordinator, and Judy Humiston, who is a past board member, but she has been a huge contributor for many years. The Grand would cease to exist without these people's dedication and enthusiastic support. When we first started the Grand Theater project, there were many naysayers and many obstacles. We had this 501c3 thing. The Grand was owned by the Fridley Theater Group, and they were going to close it down. They had conditions in order for us to take it over. They wanted it to be taken by a 501c3 nonprofit so they could write it off as a donation, and we had to raise $50,000 to buy the equipment, which was antiquated at best and really not worth $50,000, but that was the terms. Well, that was shortly after 9/11 happened, and we had a little problem getting a 501c3 because the IRS had been very skeptical about where the 501c3s were being obtained and who was getting them right after that. They feared that a lot of money was going overseas to places it shouldn't go. So they were investigating very thoroughly before they issued them. We had 3 months to get it, and the IRS told us the estimated time was 2 years. Well, that was a problem, but luckily, Monty Walters, who had the stained glass store next to ours, her husband was a very good friend of Tom Osborne's, who happened to be serving in Congress at that time. So he got a hold of Tom, and Tom Osborne is one of those people that you have to credit with saving the Grand, because he got right on the case, and we received our notification of 501c3 2 days before the deadline. Otherwise, this would have never happened. So we did a lot of pacing the floor and worrying in that short period of time. But anyway, we had to go from there into getting fundraisers going, finding sources for that. We had to learn to thread the old film projector that we had in those days. We learned that on the internet. But we were very fortunate because a lot of people in this community jumped right in and helped us. A lot of people grew up going to the Grand, myself included, and they didn't want to see it perish. There was adequate parking at the Grand. The Capitol never had that, so there was almost no opportunity to save the Capitol. And besides, it had been having a leaking roof for years, and there was black mold everywhere. Not very feasible, but the Grand we could save. Well, the first thing we found out if we got the building was that the roof was leaking, and we needed 10,000 more to fix the roof, which we got together, a bunch of us downtown, and we did that, and eventually we got it rolling. We started out with 2 movies a night. That burned out the volunteers pretty quick, so we learned we had to go to 1. And we learned as we went. We usually got 12 to 15 people a night at the shows because we couldn't afford to advertise. We didn't have enough money. We were too busy fixing everything else up. But then a stroke of luck happened. The movie Walk the Line, the biography of Johnny Cash, came along. And just as the malls gave up the movie, Oscar night gave it a whole bunch of Oscars. So right away there was something that people wanted to see. So we scraped together all the money we could and advertised it, and another stroke of luck happened. A friend of mine, Dean Sears, who I went to high school with, had a son who was starting a band called the Ned Rex. They did a lot of Johnny Cash music. He called me up and he said, "Would you like to have my son come down and play after the movie every night on stage, have their band play?" And I said, "No, nobody's going to stick around after the movie, but we'd like to have you come down and play for half an hour before the movie." So they agreed to that, and they came down and we sold out for 3 weeks in a row. That gave us enough capital to advertise and got us on the map with people coming in there and finding out that the theater was running and what was going on. And so it's all been kind of golden after that. We've raised and spent about $1.2 million on renovating the Grand. It's all paid for. We didn't borrow money that we couldn't afford to pay right back. And it's become a great source of pride for all of us on the board to see people come out with a tear in their eye or a laugh on their face from what they've seen there, and see the kids come in and experience a real movie theater that they've probably never seen before. So it's a great deal of fun for all of us involved. And it's amazing. My dad, when he passed away about 8 years ago, left an inheritance to the Grand Theater for the scholarship fund, which we still give to someone who's worked at the Grand. Every year we pass those out. Every year it gets a little larger because we use our car show profits to supplement that, add to it a little bit every year, and it gets bigger and for more people every year. All the people at the Grand are really a fine group of empathetic people who care about their community and the quality of their life here and the future of downtown. I want to remind all of you to remember to give back. Almost everyone here in this room, everybody I can see, is a successful person. And you're successful because you had drive and ambition and you had a reason to do what you did. And for that reason, I know all of you are capable of giving back to this community and to everyone around you. And I would just please ask you to do a couple things. Number one, I want you to respect law enforcement. I know there's been a big trend lately to put down a lot of what the police do, but I think basically 99.9% of the police officers out there are very good people and they're trying to help their communities, so please back them up. And also, if you find something you can do, even if it's a small thing, like buying t-shirts for your kids' softball team or just some little thing that helps take the kids on a picnic after a ball game, anything that improves the quality of life here is something that you can all do and we should all do for the people around us. That would really help make the community the way I remember it in the 50s, when you could go anywhere and do anything and everything was really a lot of fun. It was a very innocent time, but I'd sure like to get back to it. Wow, this Man of the Year thing, what's that about? There's a long, impressive list of gentlemen out there on that board that have been Man of the Year. It's very hard to live up to. Hard to imagine fitting in with that. You know, I was born at the old Lutheran Hospital, which was catty-cornered from the courthouse downtown. And now my store is 2 blocks from there, so you can see I really haven't gone very far in life. But as I say, I grew up in the 50s, and it was a great time. We were an all-American city. My heroes were Roy Rogers, Hopalong Cassidy, the Lone Rangers. I can't tell you how many hours I practiced in the backyard with my cap gun and my fast draw. I shot that old apple tree a lot of times. But, you know, there was only 3 channels, so it didn't take long to channel surf. And we had really good morals we learned from those cowboys. You know, they always did the right thing. It wasn't always the easy thing, but it was always the right thing. And I still think that was a good thing to learn. It was kind of hokey when you look back on it, but it was the right thing. And I found that it makes life so much easier if you do it the right way. I was lucky to grow up in a great family where there wasn't a lot to worry about. We didn't have much money, but we were never hungry. Lots of my classmates thought we were rich because we had a jewelry store, but they didn't realize how much my dad and mom struggled to build it up into a money-making concern. They were great parents, although I thought they were a little too tough on me at times. They instilled some wonderful values into that hard little head of mine. Luckily, my wife thought I had a lot of money too, or I'd still be single. Seriously though, Rita's the love of my life. She propped me up when I doubted myself and still does. She's my rock to lean on when times are tough and always has words of encouragement exactly when I need them. Without her, the business could never function efficiently. Believe me, I'm not a bookkeeper. She puts up with my collection of guns and my sports cars, and she even feeds my cats more often than I do. She does all the daily books and makes change for the Grand, helps with the car show, etc. I don't tell her enough that I appreciate her, but I hope she knows that. My kids are a great source of pride to me. My daughter, Kristen, who was so complimentary in her introductory speech, is a school psychologist here in town. That's why she uses all those big words. And along with her husband, Paul, who humors me and takes me along to go shooting, they have given us 2 of the smartest grandchildren in the whole world. Grace, who is an 8-year-old, and Garrett, who is 6. Paul is a rep for the Casey's stores between Lexington and New York, and it's quite a responsibility. My son Ryan is here today. He's an IT guy at Eeks Office Solutions, and he's pretty good to the old man. He also takes me shooting. He's president of the Grand Island Rifle Club. And he helps me with my computers at the store, even when he has much better things to do. And he never mentions how incompetent I am. I have great memories of he and I playing paintball when he was younger, and fixing things together, cars, things around the house. It was a great time. His wife Terry is a field rep for Monsanto and part of her family's business. And she and Ryan make a really good team. Terry knows how to make the greatest Chex Mix in the world and supplies me with it on a regular basis. And they've given us a new grandson, Max, who is about 19 months old now. And he's another smarty. Of course, I'm maybe a little prejudiced about all these, but they are really smart kids. He's got Grandma Lucy's, and they tell me some on Terry's side, blue eyes. But best of all, none of these guys live in my basement. I've been a pretty lucky guy. My life has been interesting and filled with adventure and joy. I got to the North Pole on a submarine, 45 days under ice. I studied martial arts. I met my wife in a dojo. Dojo, for those of you who are uninformed, is a martial arts gymnasium. It's been a life full of adventure and joy. And with all these good things, why would you not want to try to instill a little of that happiness into others? I want to thank all of my relatives that came in from Omaha today and braved this treacherous driving. Judy, my wife's sister, and her kids and her husband. And that was very nice of them all to come in, and I hope they all make it back all right. If not, anybody got a room here? They'll try. This is a great honor. I want to thank everyone at the Independent for this. It was truly unexpected, and it's kind of hard to feel a little inadequate about this, or like someone made a big mistake. But it's given my family a really great happiness, and for that I will be eternally grateful. All of you who made this happen, and those of you whom I've invited here today, are very much appreciated by myself. And I just wanted to let you know that I will do my best to live up to all of this. A sincere thanks to all of you, and may God bless you all.
Well, on behalf of the community and the Grand Island Independent, we sincerely thank you for coming out here today. And we're all proud of our two recipients, Lynn and Craig. Please give a round of applause to Kristen and Adam, too. Powerful thing to hear those thoughts straight from your heart, the heart of your loved ones. So please stick around, visit. We'd like to get some pictures of our honorees here first before the congratulations.